sharing. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to thank you for joining us on this beautiful day. Hopefully you're seeing some sun shining wherever you are. It is currently cloudy and gray looking out my window, but that's okay. I'm going to bring you some sunshine as we talk today about WSGC grant management and just helping you to understand the process for submitting your documents, paperwork, and your invoices and reimbursement requests. I'm Christine Bolz, as you all should know by now. I am the First Nations Launch Program Director, and I am also joined by two teammates, and so they'll be able to chime in and answer any questions with me and maybe provide additional insights. Megan, and do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Megan Galler. I'm the Wisconsin Space Grant Consortium Grants Assistant, and I also help out with First Nations Launch, particularly with reimbursements and invoicing. So any project expenses or travel expenses that you may have, I will be receiving those and processing those. So if you have any questions along the way with those sort of things, please let me know. Thanks.
Thanks, Megan. And then Connie.
Hi, everybody. I'm Connie. I'm the one that sends you a lot of different emails. If you don't know who to talk to, you can reach out to me. And yeah, I basically am the project support assistant and help you guys as teams know what needs to be submitted when and when we're having webinars. I'm the person that is communicating with you the most.
And I think that's a great point to just before we even get into the bulk and the heart of this webinar, is that if you think about, Megan is wearing the hat of the finances, and so anything financial she'll be able to assist you with, and Connie is helping you with anything to do with the grant aspect. So getting your documents turned in and making sure your submissions are on time, she's going to be able to assist you with that. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. And again, welcome to those of you just coming on. If you can, please put your school in the chat so that Connie can get a list of attendance. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. And as I did say, we are recording this. So, that's going way too fast. There we go. What are we going to go over today? So, how to add team members to the rocket launch team page, how to add a co-advisor to your FNL NOI application, how to add an authorized user if you're going through your campus and you need a grants officer to be also a part of it, a part of your management and help you get documents uploaded, how to do that, how to upload the document to the grant management page, what is your period of performance for the award, what are the methods of reimbursement that are available to your team, when to invoice and submit reimbursement requests, how to fill out the project and travel expense forms, the invoice template, and then also how to submit invoices for federal funds. Cost share is not required, and we'll go over that. So how to add a team member to your First Nations Launch Notice of Intent to Compete. So all of you have submitted a Notice of Intent to Compete, but now what? Many of you maybe had one or two folks that were students that were interested in being a part of the team, but as we grow closer and closer to the February deadline to have your final roster, those team members may change, they may grow, they may diminish. It'll just be you'll be flexible and will be flexible as you get that final roster put together. So things to consider as you update your NOI, and that first of all, we have a note here. This step should be completed at time of application or as part of the award acceptance process. But again, we understand and know that your team member roster may change between the time that you submitted your NOI and when you will be submitting your final roster at the end of February. So as you go back into that create NOI on your application page, and again, PI, so that the awardee is going to go into their account. They're going to select manage application and select rocket launch team, create NOI. And down toward the bottom of your screen, you're going to see an area that says team members. Many of you have already added individuals. So to add or remove team members, if you want to add, press the green button and put the person's name in. And if you want to remove, you are going to select the red button. Now the key is team members need to register and log into the website. They have to apply for the First Nations launch competition. So that's different than what advisors have registered for. So team members and team leads will register on the First Nations rocket launch competition. And when they do that, they will be asked also to upload a media release. Can you confirm for me, Connie, do the team members need to be registered on the website before they can be added as a team member?
No, but the team lead does.
Okay.
So the
And we'll get
team
into
lead
that.
needs to register before an NOI, but they already went through that
Yeah.
step. But yes, the rest of the team members do not.
Perfect, thank you. All right, so now how do I add a co-advisor to my grant application? I may have already registered and I didn't have a co-advisor, but I'm getting into this and realize, you know what, there's another faculty member who would like to assist with this, the program and help me. So this is what we should do, and this should be a part of that award acceptance process. So the co-advisor must register on the WSGC site. Okay, that's the first step. Then the second step is after they've registered, the PI, the advisor, will log into their account. They'll select that manage application again, select the rocket launch team, create an NOI, and then there is a co-advisor field. And so if you put your cursor, click on that field, and begin typing a name, you should see your co-advisor's name populate. If you don't, most likely what that means is that the co-advisor has not registered on the website. One of the things that I've noticed in that, sometimes I try the first name, sometimes I try the last name, and it may make a difference on how that populates in the field. But try, that would be a, oh, how do I find it if I'm having trouble the first time? So then that's the co-advisor. We've gotten team members. Now, what if our team selected a reimbursement process through the campus, through the university, and I'd like my grants officer to be able to have access to the grant management page so that they can upload the invoice on my behalf. Okay, or a document, maybe the award acceptance material. In that case, what you're going to do, again, going through that same process, it can be done anytime, but we recommend it being done by your award acceptance period, is the grants officer must register. And I'm going to throw something out. We have grants officer, but let's say you're in a department and you need the secretary or the admin, my apologies, the admin in your department to have access so they can upload stuff for you. That would be fine to have that individual go through the same process as the grants officer. So they're going to register with WSGC. PI is going to log in, going to do manage application, select rocket launch team, create NOI, and then select that individual from the drop down. And again, step one must be completed. If it's not, then that name will not populate. But once that name is populated and you put it in and you submit, then they're going to have access to those files and be able to upload on your behalf. And the link is the spacegrant.carthage.edu about, and then log in. And ladies, if one of you could drop that into the chat, that would be awesome as we go through. So how do I upload the documents to the grant management page? And sometimes this can get confusing, but we're here to support you. We're here to make it as easy as possible. And so the PI, the advisor, the co-advisor can log into the account, again, manage applications, rocket launch team, create NOI, or, and this is key, the team lead also can go to manage application, and they're going to select, instead of that create NOI, they're going to select the First Nations Rocket Launch Competition. Those 3 individuals will see the same fields and be able to upload documents on behalf of the team. Team members will not be able to do this, but again, advisor, co-advisor, authorized user, or team lead have access and can upload information. So there's 2 main areas. You have your current grant cycle applications. And so that is going to show all of the different fields for the different documents that you'll be submitting throughout the length of this competition. And then you have that personally identifiable information. So in that area, a couple things that I want to note. So you have photos, you have the biography, and this is for our advisor, the W-9 form, and the media release. Something that is critical. Sometimes those forms are up there from the year before, and you don't change it out. We're going to have to come back to you and we're going to say, we need an updated form. We have to have a current form on file so that if on the any of our photos that we take during the competition, and if we're going to pass that on to NASA, we have to be able to have a current media release on file in order to be able to do so. So please, please, please make sure that media release and your W-9 are current so that we don't need to come back to you. And that biography is a third person. And part of the reason we asked for that is we are utilizing that information in our annual report that we provide to Congress every year. Okay, and then the requisite files are on the left-hand side. So you are being asked to upload a PDF, maybe an RKT file, which is your RockSim, URL for your flight demo, JPEG for your photos, Excel for your flight fly sheets. So upload whatever file it is in the appropriate field. Things to remember: your photos. I know you guys sometimes you don't submit that, but the photos are really important for us because it shows what you guys are doing on your campuses with your team. And I love it when you send them because then we can utilize, sometimes that picture might be on one of our banners. It might be in the, if you get them in earlier, we might have them in the program for the year, or at the banquet, or on a slide deck. So there's multiple ways, and I love highlighting what you guys are doing with your team. So please make sure that you are uploading those photos, and everybody has a media release sheet on file that is in the picture. And then you have those optional files. So sometimes, for whatever reason, you want to upload something and there's not a field that matches. If that's the case, you can go ahead and put the a file or a document in the optional field. And that may be, you may see that necessary as we talk about Reach for the Stars, right? Where do I put a document? This would be a perfect place for it. So what is your period of performance for the award? In your award letter, so the award begin date. So for Moon and Mars, that was October 28th, 2022. And for Gateway, it was January 2nd, 2023. You are considered able to spend funds on which is your fully reimbursable begin date. Essentially what that is the date that you submitted your award documentation and it was signed. And that allows us then to execute your award the way that we need to. So as you can see, November 14th is the beginning for Moon and Mars, and Gateway January 20th. Now, for those of you who applied to Gateway early and were accepted, then you would have that November 14th begin date. And when does your award end? It ends May 8th, and that is the day that you submit your final reimbursement, your PLAR, and making sure that your 2 to 3 photos have been submitted. And that would be considered your award end date and your award closeout date. So what methods of reimbursement requests are available to teams? So if you're a university or college, if you're choosing that method of reimbursement, then you would submit the WSGC invoice / cost share reporting form. And it will require an AOR, authorized organization representative, signature on it. If it's a student organization, same parameters. It's the WSGC invoice cost share reporting form, and the authorized organization representative will need to sign the form. Now, if you're in international status, there will be no form submitted and no signatures, because that team would be ineligible for any NASA funding. If it is a BIE funded institution, and there's only 2, and we don't have them in the competition this year, but they would not require any forms either, because they're bound by different rules, and they would not be submitting forms. If you are going to choose to submit your reimbursement request by individual, then each individual will need to submit the project / travel expense form, and there are multiple signatures. The individual requesting the form needs to sign it, the team lead, and the advisor. And part of the reason that we do that is to make sure that all expenses were approved prior to spending, and that everybody signs off on them. You can find these forms at spacegrant.carthage.edu, First Nations launch tools and tips. So when do you invoice? When do you send in those reimbursement requests to WSGC? There's 2 main dates. So March 6th is a partial reimbursement invoice. So if you started your procurement and you purchased your, whether it's the gateway kit, or you purchased your, you're ahead of the game and you've already purchased your airline tickets, and you've been charged for them. That's where we would need you guys to start submitting your reimbursement requests on for the March 6th deadline. The second one will be May 8th. And that is so that you can reimburse this, or ask for that reimbursement after the competition is completed. So those are the 2 main dates. And note that for this competition, we do not follow the fiscal year for invoicing, which would be typically on a quarterly basis. So how do I fill out a form? A travel and project expense form. So before we get there, talking about travel guidelines. So Carthage College has travel guidelines that we need to adhere to. So we provide those travel guidelines to you, so that you as an institution receiving an award from us can take that into consideration, because you are bound then to go with the most restrictive between your campus and our campus. And so I have put that link on the PowerPoint, and one of the ladies will drop it into the chat. So things that it's going to cover: procedures for implementation, qualifications necessary to determine allowable expense. So alcohol is not allowable. Authorization to travel, authorization for travel expenses, mode of transportation. And each area has certain parameters: alcoholic beverages, meals and incidental expenses, hotel and motel expenses, other allowable expenses, outside contract personnel expenses, and international travel. So just making you aware of that so that you have that as a resource. So then once you've decided we're going to do personal reimbursement requests, things that you will look, this is how you will fill out the form, which again is under tools and tips, and under the forms, reimbursement forms drop down. So what is the date of the purchase? What is the total of the purchase? List all participants. So if you are getting a dinner, then you need to note on that receipt that dinner was for Connie Engberg, Megan Galler, and Christine Bolz. So all 3 of those individuals need to be associated with that receipt. We need to have the itemized receipt. So they'll give you a copy of your credit card receipt, which will just have an overall amount, which you can see on the left-hand side here for, with tip was $50.30. Whereas on the right-hand side, it's telling me what we actually purchased. And so making sure that you have that, you provide both of those receipts, and electronic copies are sufficient. And then knowing that there is a maximum tip of 20%. For travel, making sure that you provide a Google map that is showing the to and from location. The current mileage reimbursement rate is 0.655 cents per mile based on IRS guidelines. Include the purpose. What are you traveling for? Where are you going to? So if you're going to a launch to learn launch, put that in there. If you're going to competition, put that in there. And then if you're rounding up your mileage, if it's 0.5 miles, round down, and if it's 0.6, round up. It is strongly encouraged, the travel guidelines, if you're going to be going over 100 miles to round trip, to use a rental car. Your hotel is limited to the block via FNL that we secure for you. So we have, I believe, 2 hotels. And so we will be placing teams in those 2 hotels. So just know that that is the hotel limitation. And then flight limitations, economy, no seat upgrades, they will not be reimbursed on the grant. And then on a project expense form, label or number each one of your receipts. As you can see up on the top, we have a receipt number 2 here. The date of the purchase, circle that. And then the vendor, the store, is going to be added to the form. And the description, what are you purchasing? And then the final amount. Also, please make sure that where it says, please make checks payable to, that you do complete that with your name, address, and your city, state, and zip. And then you will have a total at the very bottom of the template. Initial and date the receipts, sign, phone number and date the expense form for as the individual, as the team lead, and then also as an advisor. Now, if my institution wants to do the invoicing through the university, how do I fill out that WSGC template? And it is a new template, so I did want to make sure that we go over this, and so that you know that it's new and what it looks like and how it functions. So the file has 2 tabs. The first tab is the proposed budget tab. And so this would be based on that proposed budget that you put together and submit to us. On the top where it says organization, that would be your university or college. And then your period of performance is listed in your award document when the award begins and when the award ends. And so we know that that award beginning date is either that November date or the January 2nd date. And then your end date is that May, I think it's 8th date. So enter your proposed budget under the WSGC federal funded activity. And when you do that, that information is going to automatically calculate into the total column. And then also on the second tab, which we'll be going over on the next slide. So all of that information will be there, self-generate. And then cost share is not required, but this is just our form that we utilize for all of our grants. And so just want to make sure you know that cost share is not required for the funds that you're receiving. So the invoice template, and this is that second tab in the document. So you're going to select the invoice template tab. Your WSGC award number, that's your FNL number. So FNL 23, so 23 represents the year that you're competing. And then whatever the award number that you were given, say it's that same number that you're going to use for TARC as well. So you'll put that where it says WSGC award. Oh, it moved too quickly, and my apologies. There we go. Your period of performance, we went over that before. Same procedure prevails there. Organization, same thing. organization invoice. So if your campus says that this invoice is going to be labeled HCC-01, then that's the number that you would put in there. So it's the reference number from your college, your campus, that helps them to know what invoice is being paid. So in March, that first reimbursement request, you are going to select Q3 and partial on the form. And then for the final request, you would select Q4 and final. Now, remember that your total award amount is $4,000, which, remember, we're encouraging you to please try to spend that entire $4,000. If the advisor is paid through the institution and you want your $1,000 stipend to go through the campus, then your total award would be $5,000. If you have additional travel funds that you are taking advantage of, then that also becomes additional funding. So you could, that could be, like if it was Honolulu, they get an extra $1,500. So they are going to be, and they're going through their campus, we'll just smize here, they would be at $6,500 is their total award then. And again, cost share, there is no funds committed for that. So how to submit WSGC invoices and reimbursement requests for federal. So we email it to Megan Goller, mgoller@carthage.edu as one PDF, put it all together. And with the subject line FNL 23_invoice / reimbursement request. PDF portfolios are not accepted. Please use Adobe Combine tool. Institution should submit one partial and one final invoice, as we went over. And if $0 are spent, please just go ahead and submit that form with a $0 on it. And that way we just know that you're not late, you're not, we know that you just did not spend any money. And again, cost share is not required. So the packet should include your invoice with federal funds for the reimbursement period and cumulative expenditures, the invoice, if your campus does a separate invoice other than our form, and then any supporting documentation. So why can't we process your payments? What would stop us from doing that? We cannot process it if it is incomplete, if it's missing signatures, if it, we can take out, and I didn't see this before, but the grant management page is not relevant. The expenses are outside of the approved budget. So you sent through that budget, and we've approved it. As long as it's within that parameter, there's no issues. Is there supporting documentation missing? Is it, I'm gonna, again, that email, because we've changed for this program. So my apologies, I didn't catch that. It can be submitted via email. And then included expense for students who have not completed the application process. So if a team member or yourself has not applied to the program and submitted all of their application requirements, we cannot provide the reimbursement. So that has to be done so that you're compliant, so that we can go ahead and reimburse you. So please, please, please make sure all of the students on the team have registered, have applied to the First Nations launch competition, that award acceptance materials are in, W-9 is in, media releases are in, so that we can reimburse you when the time comes. So application process includes, just go over it, make sure we all are on the same page. Register on the WSGC website, complete the appropriate application. The advisor PI uploads the award acceptance, the signed media release, the individual W-9, the institutional W-9 if they're submitting invoices through the college, university, or a student group. The co-advisor upload a signed media release form and an individual W-9. The team lead upload that signed media release, and team leaders or team members upload the signed media release form. So a few additional notes. check your signatures on your W-9 and your dates. For the W-9, the media release and the reimbursement forms. Those dates must be after the period of performance begin date. Okay, so keep that in mind. They cannot be prior to it. Check your award letter for closeout dates and the document required for closeout. So what's common, you have that PLAR for our Gateway and our Moon Challenge teams. You have 2 to 3 project program photos. You have a final reimbursement request. Your post-launch assessment report, photos, and final reimbursement request must be uploaded to the proper grant management page. And with that, are there any questions?
Christina, it's Brett. So should I just use the award letter that we were sent last fall when we're
Yeah,
hoping to
I
put
would.
it together? Okay.
Yep. That way you anything that you guys have done or need to do, you're back, you can start from that award letter date.
And if we use a student org, the reimbursement system doesn't need another signature besides mine as the advisor for both FNL and the ACES chapter?
If you're the authorized individual on ACES, I believe you will be fine signing that.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. And correct me if I say anything wrong, Megan or Connie, because you guys are the ones that are in this and do this all the time. Any other questions? If not, y'all get time back on your afternoon, which that's a glorious day. Mike's, yep, thumbs up. Totally agree. All right, folks, if no other questions, then I do want to let you know next week we do have another webinar. It is on avionics. Am I correct, Connie, at 4 p.m.? And
Yes.
we look forward to having you all there. Please have your students attend if they can, because this is information that will help them be more successful in their launch on launch weekend. All right. Thank you, everybody. You have a great rest of your day.